as your moderator for today's session. So this Udemy community skill training is conducted by Udemy ID. It is for the training seasons, aims to equip young people with some sort of essential skills to run community or youth organizations. It covers short topic on project funding, project organization, management, partnership, and project sustainability and social activism. This training is conducted by Udemy.id, a learning platform from the Erasmus alumni to help young generation developing out their academic and career skills, as well as to empower community. Udemy initial projects like Udemy Fast, Udemy Mentorship, and also Udemy Community Training are fully supported by Erasmus Plus Student Alumni Alliance, ESAA, and funded by European Union. So my name is Yocha Rawina, and will be moderator for today's sessions with our topic today about building partnership and project sustainability, served by speakers, a good speaker, Sofia Barberio, and also Rahmat Putra Yuda. So thank you for you guys have already attending, and let me introduce our first speakers. So our first speakers will be Sofia. She's an experienced young professionals with the NGOs, bilateral and multilateral institutions with a double degree MS in the management from Nova School of Business and Economics and Lausanne School of Management. Currently a project manager at Carlos de Gulbenkian Foundations. She holds a strong passion for intersections of SDG 13, climate actions with the SDG 5, gender equity, and SDG 14, life below water, building knowledge and access between women empowerment, climate actions, and environmental protections. And our second speaker will be Yuda. So Yuda is a current vice president of Ocean Network European Union, and he is an alumni of Erasmus Actions 2 in the 2013. A Mover and Impact project, he is a founder for Virtual Educations Academy and president of Indonesian Literacy Associations. Yeah, to about this training program. So we would like to have the QA seasons at the end of our presentations. And you can raise your hands or type your questions in the chat box or QA box to have our questions for the regard to the speakers that you would like to address to. So let's begin our training with our first speaker, Sophia. Time is yours.
Thank you so much, Yochi. I'm going to start with sharing my screen. Let me see here. I'm going to put this on presentation mode. I'll just ask you if you can confirm me if you're seeing my screen.
Yeah, perfect. We can see it clearly.
Okay, perfect. So what I would ask of you, I mean, I know we'll have time for Q&A at the end, but if there's anything very urgent or that is not clear that while I'm presenting that you'd like to ask, feel free also to interrupt me, and because I'm also looking forward to exchanging a few ideas, and I'm sure you have very valid experience as well. So today, and first of all, thank you to Udemy and to Atifa for inviting me for this training. I'll be focusing more on how to build partnerships and how to ensure project sustainability. But again, I'm willing and I'm free to adjust and adapt with regard, I mean, depending on the questions that you have and anything that may come up during the presentation. So, okay. So just a brief agenda of what I planned for this session. So I'll start by introducing myself, even though a few of you have already now had opportunity to hear a bit while I was interacting with you, with the organizing team. I'll be then focusing on the power, or let's say I divided the presentation in three main parts. So project planning, partnerships, networking, and then a bit of a brainstorming at the end before we do the Q&A, just to see how useful or not the presentation was. So I'll be starting with introducing myself. I'm based in Lisbon, Portugal. Right now I'm actually at my parents' home, so not in Lisbon, in a different Portuguese city. I'm 28 years old. I have a bit, an academic background in management or business administration. I did a bachelor's degree and then a double degree master's in management with major in strategy and international business. My first year of studies, I was in Lisbon. Then I moved abroad, did my second year of master's in Belgium, and ended up working abroad for 3 years, 2 years in Belgium, in Brussels, and then 1 year in Latin America. So throughout many different experiences, let's say the field of expertise, if you would like to call it, I've been working more solidly in project management. So for the past, I've recently changed my position, so I changed to a different organization, but for the past 2 years, I was working as a fundraising strategist and project manager at Girl Move Academy. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it was an organization that last year was received the prize, so the UNESCO prize for women's and young girls education. That was a very nice milestone that we achieved. And then most recently, because I'm very passionate about climate, environmental protection, it's been a while that I've been wanting to direct my career, let's say, towards that direction. And I joined about 3 months ago the Gulbenkian Sustainable Development Program. So Carlos Gulbenkian is a foundation based in Portugal. It has a few branches also in Paris and London. And I continue to do a project manager, to be a project manager, but now I do it more on the ocean-related projects. Then as well, so that would be a bit of my professional background. And then because I'm very passionate about all these themes, last year I joined the board member of Youth Climate Leaders that was launched in Portugal. So the Portuguese branch, because it started out in Brazil and then it kind of expanded to Europe. So I'm doing this bit of context to also because later I'll be sharing from my experience in project management and partnerships building, and I'll try to as well bring a bit the perspective of how you can do this either within your professional organization, but also in your own organization, so youth-led organizations or youth-focused organizations. And most often we do this on a voluntary basis. So this is why I wanted to bring you both the professional and let's say voluntary background. Yeah, and then just to wrap up my introduction, I thought it could be also relevant to mention that I've been representing Portugal as a delegate at different international youth forums. Last year, I joined the Youth for Climate event within the pre-COP26 negotiations in Milan, Italy. And this year, I've joined the EU Asian Young Leaders Forum, and I'm also a delegate for the Council of Europe. And I think it's important to bring this here also on, because we'll be talking a bit later about the power of networking, and I feel that these youth forums and these opportunities can actually open many doors for us to further develop the work that we do. So before we start, I would just like to launch this bit of challenge that I would like you to you can share it in the chat or feel free also to open your mic if you'd prefer that, to complete this sentence. So whenever you think about your own projects or your own organizations, and then specifically about partnerships, what do you feel and why? So if any one of you would like to share or write down. I'm not sure I have access this and try to see where I can see the chat. It's here. Or maybe, Yoti, if you could just let me know if anyone is sharing or not.
Well, yeah, for everyone who would like to have some idea. So for me, when I think of partnership, I feel so uh, what passionate because maybe through the partnership we can also gain more networking and also open more about the what value we can give to the society or like yeah the things to the world or something. Yeah, look
Yeah.
like too naive, but like
No, but that's true. That's correct. And thank you for sharing. For example, if I think about in my case as well, we could say, for example, when I think about partnerships, especially when it's a young organization, a youth-led organization, we can say that I would feel, I just saw that, I feel super full because I can collaborate with many people from many backgrounds. Yeah, thank you, Ramat. I hope I said your name right. That's true, because it's an opportunity. So we can feel excited, we can feel motivated, because we know that maybe partnerships will allow us to further develop our own project and to learn more from different people. You could also say, for example, that you may feel a bit anxious because you may not know whether people will be willing or motivated enough to join your work or your organization. Yeah, I need to bridge both my vision and their mission. That's, yeah, Atifa, thank you. That's definitely right. Thank you for sharing. So I mean, this is we'll see that partnerships are quite relevant and important, but they bring a lot of positives, but they may also feel a bit scary at times, because especially when our organization is still at its early stages, then it may feel a bit daunting to showcase our work and to tell others why it's important to build partnerships. I feel confident because partnership maybe can support each other. Definitely. Thank you. Yeah, that's a key point. We can support each other and build on each other's strengths. So before I'll deep dive into partnerships, I would just like to, I'm sure you know this already, and you have had training focus on this, but I would just like to kind of move back a bit, and before we think of a partnership, is how we can actually think of the project or the organization we have at hand, and why it's important to plan and to build kind of a roadmap. This I brought here the project roadmap, but you can also think of an organization roadmap. And this is something that I really enjoy doing. So kind of taking the time, pause and think, okay, let's clear our ideas. Let's find a bit of focus. So before building a partnership, I think it's also important to, for example, in this case, if we think of a project, youth-led project or youth-focused project that you would like to bring, and we can think of the theory of change in terms of the results you would like to achieve. But here I'm bringing you a bit of I don't know, maybe a simple template, but I personally feel it's very useful and helpful on organizing my priorities. So here first, you would, whenever you think of a project you would like to deploy, of course, you need to think of your goals, but then depending on your goals, you can think of all the activities. You would have to list all the activities they would like to deploy and carry out, as well as for each activities to assign the tasks or the to-dos that you would have to do. And then it's very important to attribute responsibilities. So assign clear roles for each team member, and understand what the outcome of each task is. And then, of course, I'm sure you know this, the importance of setting timelines and due dates, deadlines, so that things do not lie around, and it's key whenever we think of project or project sustainability to define where we want to get to, but when we want to get there. So here, setting deadlines, time frames for the delivery of the activities that you have defined, I find it that it's very, very helpful. Otherwise, we may have the tendency to just linger around and see whatever happens, but it's good to have this structure. And then, here I would say it's most important of all to be clear on whether we're talking about our project or our organization. What do we mean, or what do we understand by success? What would success feel like at the end of the day or at the end of this project? Will success be defined by being showcased by a media outlet in our region? Would success mean that we have surpassed the number of participants that we had planned for our specific project or activities? So from the start, be very clear on what your main goal is and the results you're expecting to achieve, because then that will help you also define the indicators and measure the success that you plan to have. And here I just put a figure I really like. I took inspiration from this UNICEF guide. I feel they have a lot of resources for youth-led organizations, youth-led projects, and I always like to refer back to those. And here it's a simple template that really helps you structure what you're planning to achieve. So the action steps, setting dates, and defining tasks, as we were talking about, and then finding the resource needed and what success looks like. Because this, I feel this first step will become the basis on the partnerships that you want to build. Otherwise, you'll be meeting with other organizations and meeting other stakeholders, and if they start asking you, yeah, but where you're heading to, what you want to deploy on the field, it's very important to have this settled from the beginning. And here I think it's also important, and this is applicable to both at an early stage or throughout the project. And this can be done it's important whether you're working on your own or with others and partners as well, is to, I think project success is based on a few points that I've pointed out here. So checking in with your team regularly, finding positive ways to adapt to unexpected situations, even if you planned 200%, even if you make different scenarios, most likely a lot of unexpected situations will appear. So it's important to be prepared for those and find positive ways to tackle around. And then I also find that it's very important to be able to clearly communicate what you need, to know what exactly your needs are, and then be able to communicate those to your team members and to your partners if you have those, because we tend to assume that people will understand what is missing or what we need, but this is not very often the case. So communication is key here. And again, managing stress whenever we're dealing with deadlines or if our work depends on others, it's important to be able to have this emotional knowledge, let's say. And finally, be able to recognize when you need help and ask for help. And do not be afraid, like no matter how good your structure for the project is or for your organization, do not be afraid to adapt as you go, because it's important to have this flexibility as well. And here you'll see that throughout my presentation, and then I'll be sharing this with you with Udemy and with Atifa. Then if you can feel free, if you would like to to share to the participants here. I've tried to put a bit of a few tools that I usually use and I feel can be helpful to you. So, for example, whenever we're talking about project management or to ensure project success, I like to do this a bit of exercise while we develop it. So, mid-project, at the end of the project, you can use this table and kind of do a brainstorming with your team members. Okay, let's see what is really working well and we should keep. So those would be the highlights. Identify as well what is not working so well, maybe should be adapted, or maybe we should drop and leave this and it's not being useful or helpful in our case. Those would be the lowlights, and then be able to identify as well as a team what can we improve. What would, if we were to start today and do this from the beginning, what would we do differently? And then no matter how well you do this exercise, there will always be lingering questions though. So there will always be points that you're not so sure about. So feel free to write those here as well, to say, okay, these we're not so sure. We need more time. We need to do this again to understand if it's worth it or not pursuing, if it has potential or not. So here it's a table that I hope you find it useful somehow. And then finally, this just to build the basis on for how to build partnerships. And here I'm entering, let's say, the core of our presentation here. So after you do all of that brainstorming, all of those reflection, and you have a clear purpose for your organization or the project that you want to deploy, then if you feel okay, now I really need to find partners, and how can you go about it? So here I would just start reflecting on why it's important to build partnerships, and depending on what your goal is or your project is about. For example, when I was working at Girl Move, which is an organization focused on gender equality, so we were deploying a lot of leadership programs for young girls, university students, and we would need a lot of buy-in, for example, from local governmental organizations whenever we were working with schools. And as well, we were working directly with trainers to deploy their leader, to help deploy a training program for them to develop their skills. So this would mean very often that we would apply for grants, try to seek funding. So it's important to understand why, or to really find the reason behind building a partnership. And here I put a few of the, let's say, most relevant points that throughout my experience I found that partnerships have really helped the organizations I work with. So partnerships allows us to build off each other's strengths and have a stronger impact overall. Here I feel it's very important to be humble on recognizing your organization's strength, to recognize that we cannot do it all. We cannot have all the resources, and we will never have all the inputs, but maybe we can reach out to others and complement each other's strengths. And then, as we will see also a bit further in my presentation, it's really about building relationships that will kind of further advance or allow us to grow better or faster in our organization or our projects. So partnerships really make it easier to get access to the resources, the inputs, the knowledge, the people that you would need to deploy your projects. So yeah, so as I was saying, they can act as catalysts for further advancement. And this is something we may be tempted at first to think, no, I can do this by myself, I'll get there. But you'll notice that even if we're not talking about a formal partnership, just you can think of partners also as advisors, for example, as people who have done it, who have different organizations. They themselves have deployed a similar project, and they can partner in advising you and telling you, listen, this is what I did, this went very well, and this did not. Do this, do not do that. So there are different parts to it. And as I was saying, I would say that the foundation to any successful partnership is really establishing a relationship and establishing a relationship on the basis of trust. It's very hard to deploy a partnership with an organization, and then at the end, you feel like you cannot share your goals completely, that you would have to measure the amount of information that you could share with them, or that, for example, you have a partner, but you feel it's just a one-way communication. They are not willing to open up the game, let's say. So it's fundamental that to recognize that a partnership is a relationship that must be nurtured, that must be built throughout time, and without trust, it's very difficult, not to say impossible, to have a successful partnership. And here, once we recognize that, okay, we have a relationship, we have trust, then we know that we can, let's say, move on to the next step. That a partnership will mean that we'll be brainstorming together, we'll be sharing our goals, we'll be able to face challenges that come up together, and that we are much more likely to achieve our mission and the project priorities that we defined. As I was saying before, trust is key to ensure that you allow for resource sharing, that you can grow and expand together, and that whatever you do is done in an efficient way. Because if you have a partner, but then you need to lose time, it doesn't make sense to lose more time managing your partnership than managing the project itself. So here, and to ensure that the partnership is successful, I would say that a few must-dos to be aware of is, from the beginning, to look for an alignment of mission, the values, and the vision that you have, to find a common cause. This means that, for example, let's imagine, and this has happened in the organizations I've worked for, you're really looking forward to partnering with a specific organization. They're very well known in the let's say social context, and you're very much looking forward to building a partnership with them. And then you go talk to them, but in the end, if they cannot see an alignment in what you're doing, and if they feel that the partnership will just imply putting a logo and that would be it, perhaps this partnership will not be leading you very far. It's much better or recommendable, I would say, to really find an organization that it's very much driven the same way as you are. The cause is very similar, that whenever you're working together, you feel, okay, this just feels right. This is exactly where we want to go to, and this will make it much more easier to find success along the way. So really have this long-term thinking of, let's grow together, let's build things together, let's work for a common cause. And then again, to recognize, to be able to recognize where your strengths are, what are your core competencies. Because, for example, if you're very good at communicating what you do, but your difficulty is in deploying the project on the ground, if you're going to partner with an organization that is equally very good at communicating, but what you lack is that on the ground experience, then perhaps you're not going very far. So it's really important to recognize, okay, you're very good at that. we're super at doing communication, so let's do this together and build off each other's strengths. And then finally, at first I did not have this one here, the last point, and then I decided to add it. So involve the leadership and management. And this means, so for example, if you're a youth-led organization, perhaps this would not apply, but if you're working with a different organization, so for example, if your partner is a bigger, larger international NGO, and if you've talked with the stakeholder manager or a grant officer, and they're very keen on partnering with you, but if their management, their leadership team does not see this partnership as a priority, this may undermine your partnership. So it's really key to have the buy-in from those who at the end of the day are the decision makers and who can decide whether or not invest or dedicate time to your partnership. And here I really wanted to bring a bit of back to basics. So here a definition, because we'll be talking a bit further about networking, but it's important to understand that partners, we can have different partners and they can bring different things. So it's important to identify what kind of partners we're talking about. We know, for example, we can partner with an international organization, we can partner with another youth-led organization and an NGO, we can partner with the government, local authorities that may be key to deploying our project, or we can partner even with the private sector, for example. So here it's, yeah, I really wanted to bring this just to focus that we can have partnerships, but it's important to define what our peer, let's say, what our the person or organization that is on the other side, who or what it is. So here, the stakeholder we can define as any person, group, organization, company, or institution that has an interest in a particular issue or cause. In this case, to be your stakeholder, it would have to be associated with your issue or your own cause. Then network is the people that you know, friends, family, colleagues, peers, and most importantly, it's also the people, this also includes the people that they know. So this would be your extended network. And this is key, especially whenever you're trying to identify a partner, not to just focus on your inner or immediate network, but to recognize that you can ask people to find a specific organization or person that you need to partner with. And then finally, and this is not so much talked about, but we can think of allies as well. So this would be a close, trusted person around you who offers their support, assistance, advice, information, protection, and even sometimes the friendship. And especially for youth-led organizations or for youth leaders, I feel that having an ally is very important. It's not easy, and if you're leading a youth organization in your free time, it's very resource time consuming. You may feel drained. So having an ally, you can think of it as a friend or as a mentor, but it may be key as well to help you go along the way and help you clear your mind, let's say, and provide some sort of guidance. And here I really like this quote. So a strong ally for youth, for instance, values and respects young people, treats them as equal partners, and provides the support young people need to speak up and participate meaningfully in society. So again, just to remind that just because we're young people, this does not mean that we do things in an easy manner or that we're just doing it. And we do it with an effort and we do it very committed. So it's important to strive for this recognition as well, I would say. So finally, the power of networking. How can we foster network building? Because this networking will then allow us to reach out to partners. And here I bring a few questions that I like to keep in mind whenever thinking of, okay, who can we build partnerships with? How can I foster or use, let's say, my network to its best potential? So here again, I hope you can refer back to the PowerPoint later, but to think of, okay, who are the main decision makers I need to engage with, and what is the best way of engaging with them? Who influences project implementation and success, and how should I engage with them? Who of my peers or colleagues can work with me at this early stage? What skills and resources will I need that I cannot find internally within my team? What is the best way of gaining support for my project, my cause, my organization? And how should I engage with people to encourage this support? Who could influence the outcome of my project, either positively or negatively, and how should I engage with them? What sensitivities should I be aware of when engaging with different people? Here, for example, think of government entities, or think of, for example, two organizations that are, for some reason, considered rivals within the ecosystem. You want to make sure that you're not approaching both, and then at the end of the day, if they're not talking with each other, then you're forcing that, and this could be a sensitive situation. And finally, who will I need help or support from? And here I had prepared this because I'm sure by now you're a bit tired of listening to my voice. If you could just share a few ideas on what are your favorite ways to foster or to look for networking building. Before I present my next slide, I'd like to have a bit of your inputs as well, and then I can write them down here. Feel free to jump in with your suggestions.
Wow, it's really nice presentation. For me, like what ways to foster network building, maybe by joining some conference. Because I see like joining conference it helped me to like enlarge my network.
Yeah, definitely agree. That's a key way to do that. What else? You can write it down on the chat, or so whenever you're looking to expand your network, what would be the strategies, ways, formal, informal? Feel free to share those. Upgrading skills, joining NGO. That's a very good one. Joining, for example, existing NGOs, associations. So here I would put learning and acquiring more skills. And here we can be talking about communication skills, advocacy skills, for example. What else? Yeah, cafe hopping with my ally. That's great. So reaching out to my allies. I'll put here, invite people over for coffee. Someone was talking?
Yeah, and if may I add maybe like social media, something is also works.
Yes, very well. Reach out to people on social media. Here I would say also follow. You can see, okay, for example, if there's a youth-led organization or someone who is leading an organization or a project that you really look up to, you really admire. So, okay, I'm going to follow this person online. I'm going to see what he's doing, what he or she is working on, what kind of events she's going to. Those are very good ideas. Anything else you would like to add? Twitter, yeah. So here I would say also showcase your own organization, projects, or ideas online. Twitter, LinkedIn are a great way to do that. Yes, get connected with my researcher on the field. So here we can say get connected with and share with your, I would say, advisors, researchers, and mentors, for example. So really people who may have further experience, who may be older, who may be at a different level in their academic, professional path, and that can really help us out. Thank you. Okay, these are great ways. I'm very pleased with this. Don't be shy to be close to your work partners. Definitely. I'll put, do not be afraid or shy to talk and I'll put brainstorm even with work peers. And here I like this one because, for example, and it has happened to me personally that, for example, not now, but before I was working within a field that, so for example, when I was working at Girl Move is not working directly with climate change, environmental protection, but I was working in youth climate leaders that was. And I could think, okay, these are two separate worlds. I'm not going to try and merge the two. And of course, in my daily work, I would not do that. But for example, not being afraid to talk with my peers and say, listen, I joined this youth-led organization. We're really looking for a speaker to this conference that we're having. Do you by any chance know someone that is specialized on this? So really thinking, okay, people are, yeah, I like to think of people that we are, each one of us is a world inside and in of itself, right? So people may be working on a specific field, but in their free time, they may be dedicated to very different causes. So really not being shy to ask away and yeah, and just reaching out. Do you by any chance know anyone? And then we'll be surprised with the outcome. Yeah, so thank you. Here, I think I had just put here a few notes that could help us out, but I think um, you've surpassed this that I had here. So for example, attending events either online or offline, organizing your own, and this can be just you can call it a consultative meeting for deploying my project or for launching my organization online, and then you invite a few people to join in Zoom, for example. Engaging in person, you can hear the events are really nice, so or inviting for a coffee, and finally engaging online as well. For example, I've started not being afraid of sending LinkedIn messages to people that I admire and saying, look, I really want to do this. Could you please let me know? And I've seen that you've done a similar thing. Could you please let me know what were the main difficulties or challenges that you face? Would you have any advice for me? And people may not answer. They may ignore your message, but more often than not, people are actually like, oh, thanks for reaching out and a very good initiative. My advice would be this and that, and they give you a few bullet points, and you're happy and you've gained knowledge even without that much effort. And here, just to also related on how to build your network, I think it's also very important to be prepared to share back or give back or answer any question that the person on the other side may have. So, and for that, you will need to keep track of your progress. So if the person asks you, okay, but at which stage are you within your project, within your organization? Is it just an idea, or are you deploying already something on the ground? So if you can also to showcase a bit of your achievement, look, I've reached this many young people so far. I have 30 volunteers working with me in this initiative. And then finally, be able to communicate your strengths. And you can say, I'm not very good at communicating what I've been doing, but I'm very good at mobilizing my local council, for example, in supporting me in this way. So again, just a bit of a tool for you later on that you could use. I find it very useful both when I was working with youth climate leaders, but also professionally, and even now within Gulbenkian Foundation, to really map and put in one place all the networking contacts that you have, all the stakeholders, because it will be easier as your organization grows to identify with whom you can talk to or work together with. So here, just a simple table. You can do this in paper, online, we're using a digital app or a spreadsheet. It doesn't really matter, but just identify your stakeholder, whether it's a person, a mentor, an organization, a government entity, whether it's aligned with what you're doing and what kind of alignment that would be. So same mission, same cause, same location, for example. Then very important, what would be their motivation to join you? Sometimes we forget to ask this, but we cannot assume that just because we are working very motivated that others and potential stakeholders will be doing that as well. So why would they join us? What access would we be giving them to, for example? What perhaps if it's a government institution, maybe they could reach out to 120 young people, and they usually cannot talk directly with young people. So that could be a motivation for them to join you. And then the level of involvement, and in the next slide, I'll be showing you a bit more on that. And finally, what resources these stakeholders could bring. And here, I really like this. And again, I've adapted this from the UNICEF guide. And you can have different levels of involvement within your network. So you'll have your core team. Those are your active decision makers, those working alongside with you and with whom you develop your project or organization strategy. But then you have two different levels. You have those that you are going to directly involve in your initiative. So they will help you deploy, implement your activities, and they will help you achieve your goals. But then we should not forget about those that must be involved, but in, let's say, an indirect way. So here we could talk about those network stakeholders that would be informed. So often these are, for example, again, government entities that, for instance, need to provide an authorization for you to deploy your activities in the city. Or, for instance, someone from the municipality that allows you to use a specific space, so a conference room, and they'll need to be kept informed of how things went, if the activities were deployed. So you really want to make sure that even though they are not directly working with you or yeah, on the ground, they still are important stakeholders to keep in mind. So people who you should keep on your communication loop, people perhaps that you want to keep engaged with. So for example, people you would like to include in your newsletter, for example, so that they can know of the progress of your activities. And we're reaching out. We're reaching to the end of my presentation. But here I would like to share with you as well on how we can nurture your network, either the list or the network in general. So here again, whenever you're talking with someone, make sure to use that little template. Make sure to write down people you meet, because sometimes you think, okay, but I remember this person, and then life happens and you do not remember his or her name or where you met. So it's important to keep this organized, again, to identify, to write little notes or comments with common causes or common areas of interest, because you may not be willing, or you may not need to partner with them right away, but maybe in 2 years' time, your strategy has changed and you would need that person at that time. And then just a few advice, but I'm sure you know this as well. So make sure to reach out to people, not just when you need them, but to really keep them informed, to follow up whenever they, for example, they gave you a contact, send an email saying thank you for helping me this way, and take the time also to showcase your projects. For example, listen, this is what we've done. I send you a brief presentation, 1 or 2 slides, a one-pager describing our project and what we have achieved so far. And this is connected to the last point of celebrating your progress. And this celebration, each milestone that you achieve, make sure that you share with those that you like to keep within your network. And then finally, wrapping up, but I feel I've already surpassed my time in a few minutes, but just you also can use this later on, perhaps not even just after my session here, but at the end of this training that you're doing with Udemy. I feel it's very important to take the time and reflect. So my challenge to you after today's session or after the program in general, to really think about what you've learned so far now after listening to not just to myself, but to all the speakers. What do you feel you've learned? What you feel you're more comfortable with? What you still need help with? What other skills you still need to further develop? And then if you would have to go out after this training and put in practice what you've learned, what would your next steps be? So this is just, again, a bit of a tool that I would like to share with you that I feel can be useful in wrapping up or structuring the key takeaways after today's session. Yeah, and with that, I end here my presentation. Thank you so much for listening to me, and I'll be here to address your questions. I think we're doing it later on after listening to the second speaker. So yeah, and here you have my contacts as well. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sophia. That was really nice and amazing presentation, and also good tools that's really useful for us. Yeah, honestly, I also have several questions, but like maybe we can put it after our next presentations for our second speaker. So our second speakers also will be given by Yuda. He is a current Vice President of Ocean Network European Union, and he is an alumni of Erasmus Action 2 in the 2013 on a Mover and Insight project. He is also a founder for the Virtual Education Academy and president of Indonesian Literacy Association. So he is really active, both academic and also like the social project. So yeah, please, Yuda, time is yours. So we would like also to listen to your story and also your experience. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Miss Yochi Okta, atau
Yeah,
I'm gonna call simply Okta. But Okta, thank you, and also thank you for all of the organizer of this event. And I think this is a good event, Udemy, under EE project, if I'm not mistaken. This is under ES project, and I also probably want to share the best practice here. Maybe I do not take too long for this session because it's already discussed and already explained by Sophia, and I think this is a really good. That was a good point for organization to have a partner or design like a strategy or something. Okay, I behalf of Ocean Network as a vice president. I'm from Indonesia and currently live in Borneo Island, which is the third biggest island in the world. And I think people in Indonesia already know about that. We work, online, virtual. We have some partnership also, like EMA, or another one like Garage Erasmus, and also ESN. This is all of these organization are under ESAA umbrella. Maybe for the information, I got 2 times, okay, or twice project of ESEE from maybe 2020, no, 2000. 21, and also this year I got also the project from ESEE, and I know the project will be like what you did like today, webinar and like training. I also did the same thing in Indonesia, and the target is also Indonesia. This is a good point, because when I saw on the Instagram of ESAA, and when I saw, oh, this is also from Indonesia, oh, this is a good thing. And maybe I'm going to share that we can collaborate with a lot of stakeholders in Indonesia, like Ministry of Education, like, local government. We also have a partner with international organization and the others community. So maybe this is like a share the best practice of what we have already done during a few years in ocean, and maybe people who participate in this meetings needs to know what oceans, what kind of organization that we have in global perspective. So we have a community almost maybe around 30 countries. So we have like local or representative in every country actually, and also in Indonesia. We focus on alumni who already graduates from exchange programs. So I think similar to IMA, but maybe different a little bit. So I think this is something that I want to share about the ocean. Now we can go to the real presentation about partnership. I'm not really prepared for the presentation, because I thought this is like a share the best practice, but I try to make it. Yes. So I need you to check. Is it okay? My presentation.
Yeah, yeah, we can see clearly. Maybe you can put it into
Okay.
full screen, so yeah, everyone can see.
Okay, actually, this is something theoretical things that I want to share, but this is not like a lecture, so maybe we can discuss more with the other participant in this forum, and we talk about the partnership, and this is also something to do with organization, how the organization can get a good partnership, or maybe have a good strategy to find partner, during the event, or to make a project, or and so on. So I'm going to start with better together. So this is something that maybe we need to consider, that together is better. Why we need to have a partner? Because this is like a fulfill everything, like a joint resources. And I think this is already explained by Sophie, so maybe I'm going to skip some of these information that you have already got from the previous speaker. So we focus on the collaboration, we focus on the communication, we focus also about how to get the partnership. So the question is something to do with what does a partnership means? Because when you collaborate with something or some organization, not all of the organization can be called a partnership. It can be like a sponsorship also. So we need to consider that one. And also different type of partnership. There are a lot of types that we can also discuss in this meeting. And why we use this partnership. Uh, 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 what does success look example of successful partnership identify our individual partnership needs. So I think we have uh, um, a definition before
I'm sorry,
from
Kak Yuda, I think you have
the
some connection problems. So
uh, from Sophie. So this is something that maybe we need to uh, uh, um, just Mbak Okta, is it okay now?
uh, yeah, now we cannot see your. Oh yeah, we can see your presentation. So yeah,
Oh,
I'm
okay.
sorry. Yeah, we
So
still like.
yes, I know. This is
Would
a
you like to
connection.
repeat it again?
Okay, there are different types of partnership, and for sure you have already got this one, but maybe you don't know the name, you don't know the label, but this is something that every organization has achieved or has got the the partner. The first one, the technical partnership. Second one, pro bono partnership. This is also the name, like a technical word. Media partner, fundraising partner, and also brand partner. So this is these are a kind of partnership that normally organization can open and also get like a support from the others organization or stakeholder. Okay, different type of partnership. So this is maybe you need to list that what a partnership do you have already. So you have already on some or in particular project, for example. And the second one, what kind of partnership you have? This is something about the future, what you want to get, what kind of organization or partner that you need to have in your project or in your partnership strategy. Okay, this is something that maybe we can evaluate or maybe something that we can consider why we use different type of partnership and why we need a partner. Sometimes a partner, if you have a lot of partner but you cannot have a good communication with them, you cannot good in uh, organize something with them. This is also not good for your project. Your project will be, has a bad impact for that. Because I can share my experience when I got 5 or 6 partner in the same project. For example, we have already done before. We have some problem in communication. Sometimes they feel that they are not get you know get involved with the project. Some organization feel that they get a lot of pressure, for example. So we need to have like a roadmap, and the roadmap from Sofia that we saw before. It's a good example. We need to see our resources. We can see also our partners resources, and we combine. And don't forget, we need to things that all of the deals we need to put on the contract. I think the contract also the good thing that we need to consider. Not only I feel good with you and okay, we can run this project, for example, but we need to put on our contract for all of the job desk, all of the job description, and so on. And we know, yes, we know, the partnership sometimes can bring something, that is about pro and cons. That's why we need to evaluate, we need to analyze what kind of partner, and is it really we want to be a partner with them or something else. Okay. Okay, how we can use, our partner. So this is something about the benefits that we can get from the partner. So open new door for meet new contacts. Don't, like we have resources. We can combine our resources, and also we can also have a expert in different perspective or different field of our project, and also raise money, for example, uh, grow and diversify membership, exposing girl to new experiences. So this is something that maybe to consider, that why we need to have a partner in our project. But sometimes if you think that your organization powerful enough, maybe you don't need to have another partner. But the point is, when you have another partner, it's not only about how to make your project a good or run very well, but also this is about how you can uh, spread or maybe share, and also give a good impact to another organization. So not only about the project, but also you bring a good impact, a good influence to them, so they can be a good organization. So it's like you can be also the motor of the organization. Okay, this is something that maybe how the partnership can be successful. Okay, this is started about who they knew already. So already about your partner, and your partner know already about your vision or your mission, or anything about your project. Lalu, and then also we need to consider about the mutual benefits, that maybe we sometimes ignore this in the beginning, but in the end, this is will be something that maybe can make trouble, because when they get less benefit than yours, so this is something that can make the communication with your organization and the other organization not good for the future. Tangible result, we need also consider, keep it simple, potential to grow and develop. So this is something that, or maybe indicator that make the partnership good, run well. Okay, next, what was the impact? This is the impact when you have a good partnership, or maybe the potential partnership. For example, the government in Indonesia, we have a lot of projects that sometimes we can be a partner with the government, for example, but the government do not know that you are exist, so they ignore. But actually, when you can get the trust from the government, I think this is good, because in our government regulation, for example, they do not have strong team. For example, they do not have strong team. They do not have strong resources, but they have money for that. So maybe this is something that we can consider, how to get impact, not only about your organization, but also for your local or society. Okay, long-term relationship building. This is also, you need to think when your project run well, and I think there is a trust after that, and long-term will be considered by the partner. The next mentoring opportunity, there is also the impact that you can build the capacity building together to make all of the organization who get involved with the project has the strong uh, strong team, strong resources. Also, it can be the role model for the next. So what you have already done with the other partner can be the role model, not only for your internal point, but also for the other one, for the external one. And also we can build like a life skill, like a communication skill, interpersonal skill will be grew up, will be improved, when you can have a good potential partnership. Okay, this is something that maybe you need to consider how to identify your partner. Not only just take organization to join, but also you need to identify. So the portion and also the capacity of the organization can be powerful, can be useful. Okay, for example, when I got a lot of partner during one project, maybe 3 or 4 organizations do nothing because maybe we do not identify what we need from them. So just name, we put the logo. This is something not good. This is also something that I can share to participants today. So get partnership is not only get a team, but also it's like build a tree that you want to achieve. So this is must be similar goal, must be has like a similar achievement, and also everything that you want to build, you need to share with them. Everybody needs to know what you want to change or something. I know this is flexible sometimes, but you need to communicate with your partner. Okay, this is the last point that maybe we can take from Secretary General of UN, that partnership, will be something that can solve the challenges or broad challenges. When government and United Nations, for example, business, or we have like academic expert, for example, if we do together and hand in hand, we can achieve something big. So this is something that I can quote from Secretary of General of UN. Okay, this is something that I can share today, but hopefully the communication will be open more. After this, we can share something, we can discuss something, and also hopefully after this we can also collaborate, or not maybe possible to make a new partner in this meeting, in this a good session. Thank you. I can give this to the moderator. Thank you for the opportunity for my organization to come.
Thank you very much, Mas Yuda, for sharing. Well, it's really nice, like how your experience as well, like making and involving government into your projects. And yeah, for all of the attendants here who want to ask a question, you can directly ask through either like chat or go directly from the video. So yeah, anyone maybe we can start now the QE sessions for both of our presentator, Sophia and also Mas Yudo. If you guys has any curiosity, or maybe I can ask first because I really keen on both of you guys topics, especially about, I don't know, because like currently I'm doing PhD in the NTU, so I'm doing about like coral reef and also the sea level rise. And yeah, in my department also we encourage the issues about like women in science and also like climate change and so on. So yeah, and of course, like my project also will be most of it in the Southeast Asia and Indonesia also. And I saw like Mas Yuda can involve more government in the project, which for me, like for science, it's kind of a little bit uh, hard. I mean, like, challenging if you are from outside of the Indonesian country, but like if you're from Indonesia, like this kind of bureaucracy stuff maybe not as hard as the other. So yeah, maybe like my first questions, I would like to address to Sophia. Um, so I'm curious about like your own experience. Which one is the most challenging when you're building partnership? I mean, like in which project, especially like you are experienced in the climate change and also women empowerment um, and about the climate change, you're also involved in the, some kind of SDG, since like the climate change is a big issue for all of the nations, and it's need a huge stakeholders to involve it within, since like the IPCC report and so on. So it's like yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
maybe you would like to share.
sure. Thank you, Yachi. I think it's a very good question, and maybe I can do a bit of a comparison between Girl Move. Um, I mean, the experience that I felt comparing Girl Move and youth climate leaders. For example, Girl Move is a fairly well-established organization. It started in 2013, so almost 10 years. It was already, at least in Portugal, very well recognized, and after receiving the UNESCO Prize for Humans and Girls Education, of course, this reputation got stronger. And when building partnerships, what I felt, and if I compare with my experience in Youth Climate Leaders, which is a youth-led organization, much younger, is, for example, while it was fairly easy to for Girl Move to find partners, in the sense that other organizations would come to us, would show interest in working together. For youth climate leaders, it was actually the other way around. We would be the ones needing to reach out to showcase our progress, showcase why it's important to have a youth-led organization working in climate action, and most specifically employability within the green sector. So it was really a difference on feeling the power or the impact that the fact that you were already very well known, so you have an established reputation. So when building partnerships, it's more, if you're working for a big NGO, it's more like, who am I interested to accept and to work and to open the door to working together. Whereas in a youth-led younger organization, it's much more what resources, time, effort do I need to deploy to be the one knocking on doors, going and asking for support. So I would say that building on my experience, that was one of the main conclusions, that there's no one way approach to establishing partnerships, and that the reality may be very different. On the other hand, for example, if we compare, and even though both gender equality and climate action are fairly widespread issues, and both, for example, when you're looking for partners or grants, those are very hot topics, both of them. But I would say that due to the urgency of climate change, it's actually the fact that, for example, for youth climate leaders, because we're working on a very urgent issue, that may facilitate having the buy-in from private sector companies, for example, or governmental institutions. So it's really about knowing how to position yourself, how to show that the topic or the cause that you have at hand is important, and really using that as a strength for mobilizing the other party. Yeah, I don't know if I answered your question, but I can elaborate if you feel like it.
Yeah. Yeah, I also like your answer because like what I feel also as a scientist, sometimes it's hard for us like to deliver our result to the government, and like that's why like having this NGO and like community sessions, or yeah, the conference and the like IPCC itself is help us. But yeah, since like for me, maybe because like my background is from academic, that's why making a partnership is quite challenging compared to the NGOs, yeah, NGOs or like the other communities. But yeah, thank you very much. Uh, is there anyone want to ask? If not yet, still we waiting for another people to ask the question. If may I also ask another question to Mas Yuda? Mas Yuda, would you mind to answer my question? So yeah, cause like I also interested with your experience and also what you do to especially for the ocean in Indonesia. And I just curious like uh how you contact the government, since like I think this kind of projects is quite massive, and also not only need the local government but also like the international, and also uh, like what kind of people you in your project have already involved in it, something like this. So,
Okay, thank you, Mbak Okta, for your answer. I think this is your answer represent of the other people answer, the other people question. I would like to share maybe my last project in Indonesia. We have 5,000 teachers in Indonesia. We train them to make a book, and all of the resources funded by European Commission. So this is something that maybe the the brand that I bring to government. This is something a good thing. So yes, I agree. I fully agree with Sophia that there is no one particular a good strategy, to build the partnership to the government or to the other stakeholder. But in my opinion, in my perspective, we need to know exactly what our government, for example, programs. We need to find the main program of the focus. Okay, because every president, every ministry of education, for example, has on program on focus or mission. Sometimes we call mission. Okay, so I start, like calling them, contact them, not only contact them directly to the higher level, but I also start to share something like what we have already done, like a report, what we have already done, like a portfolio, maybe like a portfolio, and send them. And the first thing that I need that I did is we ask them to audience, like to talk, to discuss. We need like 1 hour or 2 hour to promote our program to them. So it's like I think during the pandemic, this is also simple right now. We just send them the link and we can just like this via Zoom or Gmeet, and we share what we have already done to them. This is the first thing. The second things, we share also something about our achievement, and our achievement must be aligned with the government achievement. This is we can like describe everything, even maybe our achievement is not exactly the same, not exactly aligned with them, but with the communication skill, this is the power of communication skill. With your communication skill, you can bring your achievement, maybe not exactly aligned, but you can bring the one of the impact, for example, to their mission. This is something that I already done, because I know what the government needs. For example, they need um, the good brand for them, because they need a sympathy from the society. They need they need voice from the netizen, for example. So when you can bring the good thing from them, for example, I can bring a lot of people, for example. This is a good thing for the government, because the government focus on the quantity, not the quality. So the quantity will be a good things when you offer the project to the government. So when you bring a quality, yes, I know the quality is also important, but the quantity will be the point for the government. So when I can give them like a massive training, for example, it will be uh, something that the government needs. So I use a lot of like social media to share to them. I use the newspaper, the news that we have on the newspaper to them. This is something that attract them to contact you, not you contact them. They will contact you somehow. So this is something that I have already done. So you can start with the local one, the local government, and the local government will share something, a good things to the Jakartas, to the ministry, and everything will be easier after that. We can get support, like certificate signed by them. This is also a good things for the participant needs to get the legitimate, like a stamp, like a sign. This is everything from the Ministry of Education, because the certificate is also important. We know Indonesian people need certificate. So the certificate will be useful for the teacher to get promotion, for example. And I offer the government support, and also the funded from the ISA project. I think this is something that I use, the strategy that I use when I get the support from the government. But to the international government, you have to think different perspective. Not only the quantity, you have to uh, promote the value to them. Okay, because international government, international organization do not think about the quantity, but things or focus on the quality. So we offer the quality to them, like make a research to back up your project. So all of my project get backup from the researcher in Indonesia, like a lecture from some of the university, have like a put our program on the journal, and the journal will be something that every international organization thinks that you are the right organization. So I think that's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much for both of your answers, Sophia and also Mas Yuda. So yeah, finally there is another question from Hardimas Prayudi. So you mentioned for both of you, how do we manage or organize in our partnership for sustainability project, and what the things, the first thing to do before we started our partnership so it can be run well. Mm. So yeah, I don't know who wants to answer this.
I'm gonna start, if you don't mind. If you don't mind, Okta, I will answer.
Yeah, please, Mas
Oh,
Yuda.
okay. This is the question from Hardimas Prayudi. So, okay, the first thing that I need to do, I need to build the system on the organization. to make it stronger before you know, getting a partner from the other side. Because you know, when you have a strong structure, a system also, and you have a good team, your organization will be you know, get into the next level, a top one, a good level. So it's like accreditation, maybe we can call that. So the partner can see that your organization will be a potential one. So because the good organization is a good things how to organize something, the structure or everything. So when you have a system and you have like a strong teamwork, it will be something good that you want to get to the other organization to be your partner. So this is something, the first thing that you can do. The second one, you need to have a clear vision and mission, and also long-term and what we call a long-term and also short-term project or program. You need to put in the beginning of your mission in your organization. It will be maybe hard, you know, when you start with nothing, you just have a team and just do something about the event. This is the good event, we can do this, and this is not good, you ignore. Not like that. You need to have your own program, short-term program, and also long-term program. So I think this is something that I can share. Thank you, Ms. Okta.
Oh yes, thank you very much for the answers. So, Sophia, would you like to give some addition or something?
Sure. Yeah, I would say that, and focusing also on the last part of the question, what's the first thing to do before we start our partnership so we can run well? I would go back to um, being as honest as possible with what you're expecting to achieve. So when sitting down with your partner, really being transparent on what you're aiming to achieve. Again, going back to what success looks like to you, and making sure that you're not working on the basis of any assumption. Do not assume that the other person, partner, organization knows what you're aiming to, what your expectations are. So really try to be as clear from the beginning as possible, because then, even in simple terms, even with the activities, on why you've chosen certain activities and not others, because you may find, okay, we have a common cause, everything makes sense, but really going to that level of detail of, here's what we're thinking to deploy and why, and making sure that you're not working on the basis of any assumptions that haven't been clarified. So that would be my advice for sure.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sophia. Yeah, it's true. Like having the clear vision and also mission is also making the project going to run well. And yeah, just true. Like being honest and also keep also our quality and like do the best out of the project itself. So we have also another question from Zara Tun. So she asks about like how to increase the capacity for younger generation to minimize the biggest impact of climate change in terms of policies, climate change control in the futures, and what can the younger generation do if they want to be involved. So I don't know, maybe this question is addressed to Sophia.
Yeah, sure. I can answer this question. I would say, I mean, for now, I feel, because I've been part of different efforts, so youth forums that try to bring in youth, I feel that there's already some work being done by government or decision makers to have this. However, it's important to look back on how I got there and what's been what are the different steps to get there. And I would say First of all, nowadays there is an array of opportunities of really events being put together to to bring in youth and to have them speak directly with decision makers, with those who at the end of the day really have the power in their hands. And for example, Yongo, I can write down here, is a very good example. So it's the official youth-led accredited organization that is represented within UNFCCC. So at the climate change negotiation, negotiations conferences that happen. So definitely that could be a good vehicle to get there. But I would also say, do not forget about the power of just reaching out. Send an email to your local authority. Send an email to ask for going for a coffee together with someone that you feel has the power to reach out to your government, for example. Offer to send out a youth manifesto that you have drafted with your colleagues. Offer to give out a 2-minute speech at a governmental conference that you know it's going to happen. So it's really about taking these first steps, and do not overlook the power that you can have starting in your own community. So reaching out to your local governments can help you build your way up to the national government and to regional government. So I would say those two fronts. So what you can do within those that have the decision maker power within your community, your local area, your city, and at the same time aiming to participate at high level events, either with Yango or looking for opportunities that bringing people. You do an application, you can film a short video explaining why you're motivated to join, and then if you get selected, you can go there and you'll have your voice being heard as well. So there are different ways. Yeah.
Wow, such amazing answer. Yeah, I agree with that. Like, do the things in the local first, and like maybe we can bring up to like the national, the global communities. And yeah, uh, is it okay if I will also ask another question from Anaski? So Anaski also she asks, she want to ask how the technique of how to join a community, but if there is an introvert who can even be said to be very difficult to talk to someone if they're not spoken to first. So yeah. So basically like what she want to ask, because some people like an introvert person, how they can involve in this kind of making a project, or like yeah, being active more but still as an introvert. I don't know, maybe either Yuta or Sophia would like to answer.
Maybe I add something like this. Okay. We need to define introvert first, I think, because sometimes we have a misunderstanding about the introvert. So introvert is, it doesn't mean that you cannot talk with other people. So introvert will be something else. If you think that you cannot speak loudly, or maybe you cannot speak easily with other people, or to the other partner, it will be another solution for you, maybe another strategy for you. You maybe not talking, but you can just simply send a message or something. You can discuss with them through WhatsApp or the other platform. So you need to find the other strategy to communicate with them, because the main thing about partnership, it's about communication. How you communicate your idea, how you communicate to achieve the similar achievement or goals. So this is something that you need to consider. You maybe have a problem with one communication, you need to find the other strategy of the communication. So maybe this is my suggestion. You can start to find the other way. You can just email them or contact them by using the other way, or maybe you can just simply invite them, to discuss some issue that you consider to be solved very soon or urgent. So this is something that I have already done. For example, I have a problem with local government in West Kalimantan. So I invite the governor. I invite the governor, and I talk everything to them in front of the public. So you can see the result. Everything will be. It was good because they ignore, or maybe because they do not know us. So when we introduce why Erasmus community needs to have in West Kalimantan, we are not, LSM in Indonesia has a negative stereotype. We give them that we are social community that help local government. After that, local government uh, uh, open the door for us. So this is something about communication. Find another strategy to communicate with them. That's my suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you for the best answer from Mas Yuba. So, Sophia, would you also want to add or like give more suggestion to Manaski? Sophia?
Sure. Yeah, sure. I would say that if you're an introvert, I mean, you can still find your place and you can find what your strengths are. For example, you may not be very keen on public speaking, but you're very good at writing letters or writing emails, reaching out to someone, or you're very good at um, identifying or doing desk research on a topic that can help your youth organization dig deeper into the subject. So there are different ways. And for example, yeah, I would say this would be my advice on really knowing what your strengths are. And then even if you can have, let's say, a backstage role and still be very relevant to the organization work. So it's really about teamwork and finding your own strengths and what you can bring in for its success.
Yeah, thank you very much for both of your answer. It's really nice. And oh yeah, maybe this is the last questions. I hope that both of you are not getting bored. So yeah, the last question from Andika. He asks about mm, during this pandemic, so we face with the digital communication through the chat, like WhatsApp, and the difficulty well was doing follow up on the partnership. But there was no proper response. What step may be taken apart from that? Are there any tips for maintaining sustainable cooperation with the partnerships? So, yeah, thank you. So yeah, so there is Sophia maybe who would like to
Yeah,
answer, and other must be good. So
sure.
Mhm.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, you can continue.
Yeah, that's a very good question. I think that even if you do not receive any kind of feedback from the other side, that doesn't mean that a potential partner organization is not finding value on what you're sharing. It may not be the time for them to reach out to you or to follow up on a request. But here I think that, I mean, there are two ways. One way is maybe they'll tell you, look, this is very good work that you're doing, but we're not interested. Perhaps in a few months' time or in a few years, we'll get back to you. In any case, there's still value in showcasing and sharing by newsletter, social media posts, what you're working on, and really showing consistency and really showing that you're motivated to advance your work, because it will come the time that the other party will look at you and say, wow, they've really grown so much and they've developed so much. It's actually, perhaps I can check back with them and see what we can work on together. So it's really a matter of staying true to yourself, keep working, be consistent, and even if you do not hear an answer, perhaps it's not the best time to the other side. Perhaps the other organization is going through an internal shift, management change, for example. We don't know the full story on the other side, but focus on what you can control, and what you can control is the work that you put out there, is the amount of effort or the way you communicate. So really control or focus on what you can control, and then the rest will come. People will get back to you. And even maybe if that organization that was not answering will never get back to you, others will, and you will no longer kind of need them, let's say. So it's that would be my advice. Of course, I don't know the specific situation, and there may be a few nuances there, but overall, that's what I would like to share.
Okay, Mas Yuda, maybe want to.
Maybe
Yes, okay.
I would like to add this kind of suggestion, and I think everything has already covered by Sophia. I think it's a wonderful suggestion, because just focus on what we can control, not the other side that we cannot control. Focus on what we control. This is a good point from not only for the organization but for individual. When we want to do something, just focus on what we can control. This is good. But maybe another suggestion from me, in my perspective, in my opinion, optimizing, okay, optimizing or maximizing social media, okay, this is will bring something good. So if there is no way, but just believe the way will be made. Okay, this is something that I trust. Maybe you cannot find a way, but the way will be made. This is something that I trust. I put in mind in my thinking. So every step that I take, I focus on something that I already done, and hopefully this is useful, impactful, powerful, and this is will be seen by the other organization. So maybe you think that the potential partnership is blah blah blah. You don't know the other, maybe more potential than the organization. So when they do not respond, for example, but they know what you did, they can promote your program also. This is something also the good thing that you need to consider. So when the organization that you think the potential one do not respond, and maybe not interested in your project, but in fact they will share, they will talk to the other they partner that there is another organization who's serious to do this, and I think this is will be good for your organization. So focus optimizing social media. Use your social media. Everyone will see what you did, and I think the way will be made. This is something that Sophia already done. Focus on the something that you can control. Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you very much for both of our speakers today. So yeah, and thank you very much for all of your participants who attending this session. So before we wrap up our training sessions, maybe we can take a photo. So please open your video to yeah to take a good pictures before we are leaving. So yeah, I think for for this Udemy community training, thank you very much for Sophia and also Mas Yuda for giving your time and also giving a lot of experience, sharing your experience and also a lot of knowledge that you share to us and also encourage us to get involved more into this building the partnership, and also like how to make the project become sustainable, and also like giving a good advice also for us. And yeah, so everyone, would you like to open the video before we are closing? Yeah, I guess that's all. And maybe the operator, would you like to take a screenshot or yeah, give a sign for us?
Okay,
Mhm.
I will count 1, 2, 3. The second page. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for all of your time and also joining Udemy trainees. Please follow up our website and also our events, next events. And thank you once again for the good speakers for today, Sophia and Lisa. And if you guys also want to ask more, you can either contact us at Udemy or like contact directly to Sophia and Masvida. Or if you have any queries or anything that want to ask more about this building partnership and also project sustainability. And once again, thank you very much. And if I have some mistakes while I'm doing as a moderator, I would say apologize in advance for it. And yeah, I hope you guys have a good weekend and see ya.
Thank you so
Yes,
much.
yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Sofia and Mas Yuda.
Ya, sama-sama,
Yeah.
Mbak. Oke. So I leave, okay?
Yeah, thank
Yes, we
you.
can leave the meeting. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you all. Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye.